Hello, everybody. So Bob and I, Mr. Longbox, are going to pick the winner of this giveaway, and we're going to do this completely fairly. So the way that we're going to do this is the video where we first announced the giveaway. This is for Uncanny X-Men 213 in a CGC 92 white pager. The rules, there was only one rule, and it was to comment below your favorite X-Man, X-Woman. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, pick the usernames here, and I'm going to put it into a randomizer. And then from there, we'll just run the randomizer once. And yeah, whoever it lands on, you'll be the winner. This is for all the marbles, X-Men 213 CGC 92 white pages.
Yeah.
And
this is cool. So we're doing, there's no 2 or 3. We're just rolling
once.
And what it is what it is.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Some random guy. 6199. All right, if you're watching this, I will reach out. But if I haven't heard from you by the time this comes out, then DM me on Instagram at spros_comics. We'll get your information, ship it to you for free. You don't have to pay for shipping. I'll cover that. And yeah, so congrats, random guy.
And thank you for everybody, to everyone for entering.
Yeah.
And we'll do this again sometime. Right? This was fun.
Yep. All right.
Nice.
On to the podcast.
See ya.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to issue number 7 of the Comic Room Podcast. 7's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a good amount.
that's almost 2 months.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We've been going through. We got a fun episode for you guys this week. We got show and tell. We got real stock market. A little bit of talk.
Yeah.
And how that influences our market in the hobby.
Yeah.
And then in the Patreon, as always, we're going to be going over our sleeper books of the week and head scratcher books of the week.
Yep.
So if you're not already, go check us out on Patreon, where we have an extended episode. It's usually a minimum of 30 minutes extended, sometimes a little bit more. But yeah, so I'll put a big picture here of what our page looks like, and the link will be in the description. So yeah, go check that out.
Yep.
But we have a little bit of business to take care of.
Yes, we do.
So
we did our bet from a couple issues ago for Deadpool, and as we talked about last issue/episode, it was a tie, but I lost in the tiebreaker. Deadpool is, I believe, officially surpassed $1 billion, and if it's not, it is.
It's close.
We're gonna take that as given.
Yeah.
And so Joshua, my friend and son-in-law, congratulations! This is what he has won. There you go. This is Batman Year 1. Frank Miller. This is Year 1, Part 2. First appearance of Carmen Infantino. No, wait, not Carmen Infantino.
Falcone.
I'm grabbing from the artist from DC. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Carmen Falcone.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Congratulations.
First off, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad. So yeah, I'm excited. I will probably grade this because this looks about as sharp as any book I've seen. I'll take that.
And you just got a CGC set back that had a couple Batman Year 2 or Batman Year 2 from Detective, the McFarlane set that, and
you also got me those
I got
books.
you a couple, like I think 3 of them.
3 of the 4.
And from my PC, and you graded you graded 2 of them
because I was confident they were going to be 9/8s.
And they came back.
They came back 9/8s. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Bob gave me permission to sell them.
Yes, sell them.
I don't know if I'll probably keep the one with where he's got the gun and he's holding it up.
Yeah.
One of the cats is trying to come in.
Oh yeah, I see a paw sticking through.
Yeah, I'll probably keep the one with the gun because that one's pretty cool. But his whole arm.
Yeah, we had a cat's shoulder all the way up to the shoulder coming under the door.
He's mad. He's excluded. He wants to be part of the thing. But
or maybe it's because I've got Selena Kyle.
Oh yeah, trying to get the Selena Kyle. Yeah,
on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So it's attracting the cats to the room. Makes sense.
Nice. But yeah. So for the fourth time, I'll probably keep the one with the gun, and then I'll see about the other one. I'll see what it goes.
Well, I'm inspired. I'm gonna submit the 4 I have from that run, all 4, and see what I get.
Sweet.
And I might even do the year ones too, and just send them all in. And
Miller's doing a signing, so you could send them in and get them all signed by Miller.
it's tempting, but man, it's expensive though.
Yeah, but if they come back 9.8s, if you think you have a 9.8 run, that could be worth it.
Well, I'll have to let you take a look at it because you have a better eye for that than I do.
So, yep, the bet is closed. We'll do another one. That was fun.
That was really fun. Yeah.
So we'll just have to be a little bit more. There was just so much with Daredevil or with Deadpool.
Yeah.
So many things to place bets on. So
That was great.
the next movie, there's not much to bet on for Agatha, I feel like, but
Yeah, I don't know.
the next movie I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Yeah,
But
for sure. But that was fun. That was a good concept. I liked it. Even though I lost, I still liked it. Look, it's everything I do. If you win, it stays in the family. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in a way, I'm glad, and I'm especially glad that you know, it's going to you. Like I said. So anyway,
I'll take it.
in case you're wondering what happened to the beard, I had a wardrobe malfunction. Anyone who's ever grown a beard knows there's always the potential of that, and it just seemed the most expedient thing to correct it was simply to shave it off. I am going to grow it back, but I think I'm going to grow it back as a goatee and just kind of see how it goes. The bummer is that my wife finally got to the point where she said it's soft, you know, and so I know it's, you know, who knows. Now she's going to complain that it's prickly all over again.
Well, it's just the woes of growing a beard.
It happens. It happens to all of us once in a while.
Them's the breaks, as my dad would say.
It grows back.
So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Mm-hmm. Give us a like if you like this content, and share this podcast with a friend if you have a friend, or I don't know, just anybody who you think would enjoy it. That mean a lot to us. Audio versions are always available in the links below. Our Instagrams are down there too. Yeah. I'm at Spro's Comics on Instagram, and he's at Mr. Longbox.
Yeah, Mr. Longbox.
So check us out there. And now we will get fully on into the episode, and we're kicking it off with show and tell.
Yes.
So why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so my show and tell today is a House of Secrets issue number 99 with a beautiful. Let you see it first. A beautiful Mike Kaluta cover. Take a quick look there.
That is sweet.
It is an unbelievable cover of a guy looking at his reflection, or somebody looking at a reflection in a like a magic 8-ball kind of thing, or a crystal ball. And there's a guy obviously trapped in there. He's trying to get out, and he's screaming to get out. And it's just gorgeous. I bought this. I think on eBay. This is a 1972 House of Secrets 9.0 off-white to white pages, gorgeous cover. If you're listening on Spotify, just Google it, House of Secrets 99. You'll recognize it.
And you have that in a CGC
9.0.
9.0. What are those? The page quality?
Off-white to white.
Nice.
So really happy about this book. And the reason I'm bringing this book today to show and tell is because I think sometimes we don't give enough credit to a good cover. You know, sometimes we've all been there, like just in our local comic shop, where you walk in and you know there's certain book titles you're reading or whatever, but sometimes, you know, and that's the fun of an LCS. You walk in and something just jumps out at you on you know, from the wall, and you know, in the rack, and you just go, wow, I'm not reading this title. It's like in the middle of a story arc. I'm probably not going to read this book, but I want to own that book because that piece of art is stunning. And this is an example of, I think, that a good cover can become so sought after that it becomes collectible.
Yeah.
And there's nothing collectible about this book other than how cool the cover is. It's not, you know, Bernie Wrightson's first work. It's not a Neil Adams cover. It's not, you know, it's just an amazing cover that people want to have. And I was on a claim sale a couple nights ago, and I apologize that I didn't write down the sellers, so really would have liked to have said who they were. But if you're on Instagram, you might have seen them. There are a couple guys, and they're the ones who do the roulette wheel, And if you can pick a number, and at the end of the night they do a roulette wheel, and if it's your number, they do a cool Golden Age giveaway. It's mostly Golden Age stuff they do.
Oh, cool.
And what one of the guys said is they're two separate streams, and they were talking, and he had said that his strategy for Golden Age was he always buys good-looking covers.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter whether or not it's a key issue or a key character or anything like that. If it's just a good cover, because he knows that eventually people are gonna, that's desirable to people. Okay. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, he's got books from the 40s. Well, this is a book from the 70s, but we all love the McFarlane Spider-Man covers, right? Like, why do we cover collect those? It's just amazing covers. So anyway, I just think it's good sometimes just take a moment and appreciate the art component of the comic book hobby. I think we always do, but I mean, from the collectible side too, investment side, that's a cool cover. Yeah. And it's for that reason I bought it, and that reason I love that I have it in my collection.
Yeah. So that's, you got Hulk 340 that's like that.
Yeah.
You've got the book that I just sent to CGC, Batman 227.
I think that's it. Yeah.
The Golden Age homage, but it's just so unique even on its own. Yeah. Like,
my sleeper later is going to be about basically it has to do with the cover.
Yeah.
Covers.
And then I have my modern kind of Hulk 340 projection was Miles Morales 8.
Yeah.
That book that book is worth like $30-$40, which for a $3 cover has gone up a lot, but I think it'll go up way more.
That's 100% a sleeper.
Yeah.
Like if you're kicking yourself because you missed the boat on Hulk 340, I didn't miss the boat. I bought 4 or 5 of them and I sold them all. But if you're thinking, gee, if I could go back in time, and I could pick that book up, even at $45 was the price point that I sold mine. Miles Morales 8.
Yeah.
Get it. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
And probably other covers. If you guys, great covers that about that maybe you don't think we know about, we'd love to know.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but great covers, especially, this is a topic that you want to talk about, but I want to educate myself a little bit more. Is the topic of AI and how that will impact the comic book industry.
Oh yeah.
So I know bits and pieces of like AI and stuff like that, but I don't know how it works. Like,
you don't have to know how it works.
So
just that it is being used,
Right. But I think to respectfully critique it, at least from my perspective, I want to be able to know how it functions.
Yeah. How much the artist has input into what is it?
Because I know there's levels to AI. There's like we use AI on our thumbnails, just because it's easier to wash something out, or so there's that. Instagram and other things, when I post the pictures, they'll knock it as AI, but it's like, well, I'm not making AI art. I'm just using the tool of AI to expedite my workflow.
Right.
But then there's like AI art where it's like fully human.
No, you just put in prompts.
Yeah.
And it gives you something, and then you continue to refine it, and it creates art where you're not really the artist. You're just Well,
let's talk about it next week. I'll be sure to.
That'll be a great topic.
I'll be sure to educate myself. But that's a great pick. It says here on the CGC note, on this House of Secrets 99, letter from Dan Didio. I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
But I've seen there's in old FF books, there's letters, or on FF5, there's a letter from Roy Thomas as a kid who wrote in to write.
I wonder. I need to find that out. What's the letter?
Yeah.
Why is this one? Well, I'll take this down because I'll make room for yours. Why? What's the letter?
Yeah. So.
How are they going to tease me like that? See, I was so stunned by the cover, I didn't even read the notes. I was just so stoked to have the cover. I didn't realize there's something else going on with this book.
All right. Cool.
So what'd you bring?
What I brought is actually not show and tell for me. This is actually Mr. Longbox's birthday episode.
Oh,
This is Friday is your birthday.
Yes.
So happy birthday. Say happy birthday to Mr.
Thank
Longbox in
you.
the comments. So I have 2 books here. This is my show and tell for you. So I didn't wrap it because I suck at wrapping. So I did.
Join the club.
I just
So wait, these are gifts?
yeah, these are gifts.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I just did like I put this raw book into a golden age bag and board and put board on both sides so it's covered.
No way.
And then I put these 2 CGC.
You already got me a
woods.
gift. We had a big celebration at my place yesterday, and you bought dinner. You bought it and brought it.
Yeah, but I mean, what's a birthday or holiday celebration between us if there's no
Comic book exchange.
comic books? So
Wow.
those are for you.
All right, so I'll open these off camera. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
It'll be
They'll
like,
hate
wait,
you for
what?
that.
You know that would be silly. Wow. So this is which one? Is this the right one to open first? Does it matter?
that's the bigger of the 2, but it doesn't matter.
Wow, Joshua, thank you. That's very unexpected, honestly. You're so nice, dude.
So
That's awesome.
We both
Okay.
won.
All right, so you guys know this was the other comic book in the bet.
Yeah.
That for the Deadpool, and it's a comic book that I really want. First Court of Owls. Dude, thank you. That's really cool.
That's probably like a 8590 copy. So
I love it. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Talk about great covers too. I mean,
Yeah.
look at that thing right there.
this storyline will 100% be adapted into a movie. So if we're giving some free sleepers, this book is a must-have.
It's Batman number
yeah.
6 from the new 52, $2.99 cover price. I mean, Batman looks like an owl. Like, is that really what's going on there?
Yeah, first appearance of Court of Owls,
Stunning cover.
which is essentially like the Illuminati of Gotham. Like, it's kind of the idea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's
you're
really
welcome.
nice, man. That's a surprise. I appreciate that. I'm really happy. I love it, man. Okay, I'm gonna give this back to you because
I can put it in this box.
And there's something else.
There's a
Man,
slab.
you've just gone overboard, dude. This is crazy. You're setting the bar high.
It's really just for the content. I'm just using it for content.
Well, this whole streaming thing's really working out for me. I'm even happier about doing it than ever. Okay. A slab. Whoa, what is this? Hang on a second, guys.
So
I need my glasses because that's one I don't recognize right off the bat. Silver Surfer Volume 3, Issue 109. Gorgeous. Well, you know why. I know why you got this for me. I'm looking at it now. It's an amazing Silver Surfer cover.
CGC 96.
9/6. Silver Surfer Volume 3, Issue 109 from 1995. Talking about great covers. Check that out.
So I got this a long time ago, and I got this with the intention of giving it to you, but I didn't like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I think you might have even been at my house when I was unboxing it. So I was just like, oh, check out this book I got, and I don't even know if you remember.
I don't remember. Well, it's got the double whammies because I love Silver Surfer covers. I almost brought a Silver Surfer cover for my show and tell today. That was this close. It's coming. I also love Galactus covers.
Yeah.
So, and it's not uncommon to see both of them in one, but
It's a twofer.
it's a twofer.
So this is towards the end of that run. It's a low print. There's only like 10 or 15 on the census, which
Wow.
that's like, I mean, it's not saying much because obviously, like, who's grading late run Silver Surfers?
Yeah.
But there's only 5. I think there's only 5 9/8s and like 9 9/6s or something like that.
Well, it's a gorgeous cover. That's a whole nother area of Sleeperville is books at the end of runs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everybody knows the last issue of Star Wars 107, I think it is worth a lot because the low print runs. I saw the last issue of Conan the Barbarian go for quite a bit on a claim sale. But by the time a series cancels, it's because it's not selling very much.
Oh.
So there aren't that many. And if any of those happens to be desirable, good covers or for any reason, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Happy
man.
birthday.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I am 57 years old.
Nice.
Tomorrow I'll be 57. But as you guys are watching this, I am 57.
Yeah.
So in the comments,
Wait,
so
is it tomorrow or Friday?
Wait, is tomorrow? Wait, what day is today's Wednesday?
No, your birthday's
So it's
Friday.
My
Yeah.
birthday's Friday. So when you get past a certain age,
Age.
you stop. You stop counting. So I'm not sure if I look older or younger without the beard, but I know I look weird. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. Yeah. And you said the same thing to me. You're like, when we were setting up, he's looking at the camera. He goes, "You look so different without the beard." I go, "Yeah, I know. I don't look like myself."
I mean, I opened the door to let him in the house, and I was like, "Whoa, you shaved."
I was wondering if your cats would not recognize me, but Deb, my wife, said no. They kind of go more like by smell and stuff.
Yeah.
They're more sophisticated than that. But you've seen those YouTube videos where the dads like they shave and their kids.
Oh yeah.
They do the reveal and the kids start crying because they don't recognize them. That's kind of that's kind of scary. But anyway, thank you very much, man. That's
choose whichever one you want. Yeah.
Choose between which ones, man. I want to put this one up there.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's such a cool. Well, yes, because it's in a slab and it's they're both cool covers, but the slab is safer up here than putting the raw.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You get the fist bump on that one. That's really cool, dude.
So
Extra special.
that's our show and tell. So happy birthday.
Wow,
Say happy
thank
birthday
you.
in the comments. Send him a Batman issue 1 or Detective 27.
Or if that's too rich for your blood, I'll take an FF1.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, on to the meat of the conversation. So this past Monday, the stock market crashed.
Yep.
And on our Sunday, the Japanese stock market crashed. Its biggest since 1987.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, I'm trying to remember the exact headline that I saw. He sold like all of his Apple or something.
A big chunk of Apple on Friday.
On Friday, yeah. And then he now has like more. What did I see? He's got more something than the Department of Treasury.
More money.
yeah.
Certainly more inside information, apparently.
Yeah. So I believe the total of what he cashed out was like 276 billion or something like that.
And I wonder how much, I'm sure it's an easy math equation, but how much he saved selling it, you know?
Yeah.
So
the stock market came down, bounced back a little bit, but I mean, here until the election, it's going to be pretty spotty.
Yeah.
And then depending on who gets elected, I mean, honestly, either way, it's going to be like, there's no like really right answer to like the correction, depending on who gets elected. It's because it's kind of like a societal perception versus like a political perception as far as the two candidates go.
Yeah.
It's like politically, the market kind of favors one side, but then socially, the market favors another side.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah. And what the universal reality is that what the market doesn't favor is uncertainty. And that's what an election year is. It's just uncertainty until, it used to be uncertainty until this, whatever it is, the first Tuesday in November.
Yeah.
Now it tends to drag on almost all the way until, January.
Yeah.
Before you have a candidate, declared the victor or whatever. So, yeah, I remember I was laying in bed on Sunday night and I was, flipping through my phone on Twitter, X, whatever it's called now. And, I started reading about what was going on in Asia and in Japan. And it's really a helpless feeling because you're sitting there going, well, there's nothing I can do about what I've got in the stock market, whether retirement accounts, whatever, 401ks. But what I know for certain is tomorrow morning when I wake up, it's going to take a big hit.
yeah.
It's going to take it took less of a hit than I thought it would. Like when they were saying with the Nikkei, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It was down. It was down so much that they stopped trading.
Yeah.
The Japanese. I don't know if what the governing body that controls that is, but they simply suspended trading. They said, okay, we gotta. There's a run on Zapanic, so.
Yeah.
And as of today, the stock market's. I won't say it's stabilized because it's down a couple hundred again, the Dow, but that's really not a big percentage.
Yeah.
But the NASDAQ took a huge hit.
Yeah, I sold everything. I have a lot of profit in what I had in stocks, and I just figured it took a long time for me to get here, and I didn't sell in July when I should have. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sell. I'm going to let the market do what it wants until it's.
So it was you. You caused the crash. You dumped your stock, and that tilted the market.
Yeah, I did this safe conservative play where I don't have the capital gains tax for not trading within or a year.
Right.
So I'm beyond that. So I was clear and I had profits. So because I was clear of the capital gains tax and I had profits, I felt comfortable enough to trade. And if the market miraculously bounced up, I still made a profit. You can't kick yourself for making a profit.
No, you can't. No, take your profits.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to sit there and let it go. But yeah, so we'll see what happens in the next few months. But the reason why we're talking about all this stuff is not because we're a economic
we are not a stock market podcast.
and we're not professionals either. So anything that we say as far as the stock market goes is...
please take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, not professional advice.
There are better YouTubers for that.
And that, my reason for selling is purely my own. Beyond getting past that tax and having profit is more than enough reason for me to sell anything, really. Right. But we bring all this up because we exist in a sub-market of the overall market. And we've faced a collapse, I guess, so to say. We faced a bubble and then a collapse in the last couple of years. But it's especially unique because people that own, let's say, I don't know which individual stocks crashed the most, which ones didn't. So I'm just going to use like a popular company as an example. But say like a ton of people have Amazon. Yeah. It's a reliable company in America, a company that makes probably millions of deliveries a day.
Yeah, they're a monopoly in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and just by far one of the most successful companies in American history. Mm-hmm. And you put money in that, and it's a good bet. And then you wake up Monday, and then all of a sudden it's not a good bet. Yeah. And then you compare that to kind of comic books, and so Sunday night you go to bed and you've got a Daredevil 1 or what's another good blue chip to use, FF1 and FF5. Yeah. And you go to bed Monday night or Sunday night, you wake up Monday morning and you're fine. Yeah. But people that invested into the economy of America
weren't fine. Yeah. Or Japan, or whatever. And it's, we want to talk about, obviously when there's a market correction, it sends ripples throughout the whole economy, and so there's that to consider. What does a stock market correction, dip, whatever you want to call this thing, potentially mean for the comic book market? But I mean that's all just speculation. We could sit here and talk for an hour about it, but it's just anybody's guess, in a lot of ways. I mean, generally speaking, well, people have less disposable income, this, that, and the other. Okay, fine. But the bigger issue, I think, that has more pertains more to what we're doing here in this podcast and what maybe people who are watching or listening would relate to is, well, so how does putting in money, parking money in comic books compare, to parking money in the stock market? Yeah. Because let's face it, like if I go home and I tell Debbie, hey, I just bought, $5,000 of XYZ stock, she's just gonna go, okay. Yeah. Now, if I say, hey, I just spent $5,000 on Fantastic Four 5, she might not have that same reaction. She'd be like, on a comic book, Yeah. Oh, well, so there's I don't want to say there's a stigma attached to investing in comic books, but it doesn't have the same panache as investing in the stock market. Sure, yeah. But I wasn't feeling that on Monday morning. I was feeling pretty good. Like, I didn't love that my 401ks went down, but they go up and they go down, whatever. But I kind of woke up and I thought, well, I'm glad I got some money parked in comic books. Yeah. So it is an investment alternative. It's a hedge against different things. Like, what do they say? Don't put all your money in the same thing. Yeah. So you got some money in the stock market, maybe a lot more money in the stock market than you have in comics or whatever. And Monday was not very fun for anybody. Yeah. But if you're watching this podcast, I assume you have some money in the comic books too. So I think it's a good time to talk about
a diversified portfolio.
Yeah. How do comic books fit into it as an alternative to put your money? There's a lot of alternatives. You got crypto, you got stock market, you got gold, you got
crypto dropped Bitcoin dropped a
Yeah,
lot.
I've never. It was interesting to see both drop at the same time. Usually they kind of do.
Yeah.
You can put your money in real estate. There's a well, if you can afford real estate, I can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, but here we are. We're talking about comics, and I've been parking money in comics since I had a paper route.
Yeah.
Back in the early '80s, and I was making $30 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wondering which Frank Miller Daredevil I could afford. With that. So let's talk about the different levels of investment in comics.
What we're going to do for like the next 30, 45 minutes is we're going to break down the comic book market into 3 sections. And those 3 sections are essentially comparable to like the regular stock market. Like you have your blue chip stocks and your blue chip comics. So like your Amazon, your Apple, blue chip comics are like your
Superman 1,
Yeah.
your grails,
your grails. Then you have your speculation stocks. So I'm
any penny stock is a spec stock.
yeah, I don't really, I'm not like a day trader or like a serious, I kind of do safe bets on the stock market. So, but let's say back in the day, people with Amazon who were speculating on Amazon way back in like the 2000s. Yeah, there you go. People who were speculating on Apple, people who were speculating on Tesla. Like those were penny stocks back then.
And Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Compared to, I don't know, like
IBM or.
yeah, exactly. So then you have speculation books.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah. And then you just have collector books, which I guess there's no comparison
with stock markets, unless it's like when we say collector, like books that you buy because they're just your favorites. You like them.
Yeah.
There's an emotional reason you like it. It's a good cover or whatever. And I mean, there's not a lot to compare, but maybe like you buy the stock because your dad owned it or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's that, but I don't know. It's not quite the same.
So the 3 types of books and the way we'll break down the comic book market is you have your blue chip grail books. So we're defining that as betting on a book's historical significance.
Right.
We have speculation books, betting on a book's potential in the future. And then collector books, and that's just betting on books that you love.
Yeah.
So let's start off with, do you want to go top to bottom or bottom to top?
I go with top to bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go top to bottom.
So blue chip grail books. So actually, let me leave this open. It's okay. I'll pick it up later. So there's one on the wall right now. I would say probably the only blue chip book that I own. I mean, I guess you could argue FF6, but probably not.
This is a different tier.
Yeah. So your blue chip comics are comics of silver and golden age that exist on a totally different plane than any other comic. Most of the time, actually all of the time, it's going to cost you thousands to get into at a decent. I mean, I think you could probably get like a 05 Daredevil for maybe 1,000 or just under, but
then it loses its blue chippiness.
Yeah, exactly. So to get into an investable blue chip grade, you're for sure spending a few $1,000s. So you're talking first appearances of essentially the cornerstones of your publishers. So Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Spider-Man,
X-Men,
Hulk, Thor.
Then all the DC stuff.
Iron Man, and then that's kind of like your corners. And DC is kind of it's a lot different because Marvel was like the king of the Silver Age. So they kind of dominated that Silver Age first appearance. And DC was like the king of the Golden Age in a lot of ways because, well, I feel like there's a lot of like kings and princes of the Golden Age.
For sure.
As far as like your first appearance kind of stuff, almost all of Batman's villains and Superman's villains and those significant keys for those titles are in your Detective Comics, Batman, Action Comics, and Superman. So like your first Penguin, your first Catwoman, well, I mean, that's Batman 1.
Yeah.
The first Joker, that's Batman 1.
Yeah, what a banger.
First Harvey Dent Two-Face.
Yep.
And those are all like Golden Age and unaffordable beyond a certain grade, pretty much.
They are the definition of an investment book.
Yeah.
I would love to own it just like say Batman 1.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of like reasons that I would fall under, that might fall under other tiers that I might buy it. But it is 100% an investment because the cost of entry is 200,000 to 500,000 just to get in, you know. And so is that a good place to put your money versus in the stock market, right?
Yeah.
You know, and again, we're not here to answer that question for you specifically, but
And another definition to kind of like tack on is with these blue chip books, you should be able to almost always get back what you bought it for. Maybe a little bit less, hopefully a little bit more. Maybe you might break even, but the window for or the I don't know the floor and the ceiling for what you can for what you buy into a book and what you can sell is going to be pretty close.
There was that one recent sale of Tech 27 that I think you were the one that brought it up.
Oh yeah,
like the guy took a bath on it. Like he paid 1.2 and he 1.2 million and sold it for whatever it was. He sold
600K.
Yeah, I've that still is a mystery to me. I don't really know what happened there. But that's an outlier. Like that's very unusual. The 1 million realm for that book is about what you would expect.
Yeah.
But like if you look at there's all the data's out there. It's available. There are YouTubers who do a really good job with this, or you can just grab yourself an Overstreet price guide. You can look at the trends of these what we call blue chip books, and
TMNT.
Yeah, exactly. And what they have done historically, and just like the stock market, you will see, of course, if you zoom in close, little bumps, ups and downs,
sure.
You know, and even some bigger ones like 2020 and 2021. But what you will see if you pull it out is you will see an uptick for these key books. You know, at any point in history, if you bought Fantastic Four 1 in a near mint condition, you won. It didn't really matter when you bought it. You know, like I've said before, when I was just into collecting, $2,000 was the price tag for a near mint FF1.
Yeah.
Then that was as unreachable to me then as a 13-year-old kid as the $300,000 price tag is today.
Yeah.
But had I found some way, you know, had I convinced my dad, you know, to buy it, it would have been probably the best place for him to put his money outside of some of these crazy things like Apple or Amazon or whatever. So yeah, there is a place in somebody with a big portfolio for these blue chip books.
Yeah.
It's good. You're going to have your ups and downs, but I don't think you're going to lose whatever it was, 20% overnight, whatever the Nikkei lost on Monday. You know, it's that area, that place of investment is probably out of the realm of possibility for most investors.
Yeah.
Unless you start talking about like investment with a capital I. For hobbyists, it's out of the realm. But if you're out there and you're saying, no, I'm an investor and I'm going to buy comic books as an investment, well, then what difference does it make? If you've got $1 million to invest, you have $1 million to invest.
Yeah.
So you can buy those blue chips if you were going to put it in the stock market.
Yeah.
You know. So what would you do if $1 million dropped in your lap right now, Joshua, and the proviso was you have to put it in either all of it in a stock market or all of it in comic books. What would you do?
Oh man, I genuinely think I would go for an action one. I think that would be the play.
And why would you do that? Because this is you could easily have said the other thing, and there's reasons to say the other. Why would you do that?
I mean, truthfully, I think I could have a quicker profit turnaround in a short amount of time compared to like sticking, let's say, money into VU or something like a
mutual fund of some kind.
Yeah, I think I would make profits a lot quicker doing that. And even if I didn't, like just having that as like an asset and like being able to like that's also like kind of the difference between like the stock market and comics too, is like you're not investing into a piece of a company that could fail. Is like you're investing into like a piece of property, an asset
Yeah.
that you own that is in your house, obviously subject to, weather and all that types of stuff. But we live in sunny Southern California, so there was an earthquake last night. We didn't feel it, but like a house could come crashing down, and like that could be your worst case. But
and you're putting that in a safe deposit box in a bank anyway. If you had it, it's just, although I might probably visit the bank every once a week just to stare at the book.
Yeah, but no, I do think that it would just be a little bit more of a a speedier way to make profits on it.
I think I'm 95% sure that I would go the comic book route, and I would do Action 1 or Detective 27 if I could. Because
the only reason why I didn't say Detective 27 is because the outlier and because it's so recent.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit.
But once that guy, I mean, the dude who bought it for $600,000, there's no way he doesn't double his money.
Right.
Like, there's just no way.
Oh yeah, the guy. That's the real story of that book. Not that the one guy took a bath. I want to meet the guy that only paid $600,000 for it, because he's pinching himself. He can't believe it, or she
100%.
cannot believe that was the price. We've all had those moments in auctions, but not to that degree.
Yeah,
he could turn around and sell it tomorrow with a little bit of better marketing than happened with Heritage on that particular sale, and make money.
Yeah,
but I would put it in comic books also because of the things you said. The stock market. If that's my whole nest egg, and I put the whole nest egg in the stock market, I mean, there are things that affect the stock market that are so random that can tank all of your wealth overnight. 9/11 was a good example. The stock market crashed after 9/11. The disputed presidential election of 2000 with Bush and Gore, that held the stock market hostage for like 2 months while the market crashed. Like, these are things that you can't predict. Like, you can do all your due diligence, but a world event happens and tanks the market. Or turns out that bankers are sticking it to the regular investor somehow, and there's a bank crash like we had in 2008, or the 1987 that you mentioned, which was a savings and loan crash of some kind. I was only in college; I didn't really understand it much, but not in my control. And I've done everything. I did everything right. I put $1 million in there, and I woke up tomorrow and it's worth $250,000. I don't think I could live with that.
Yeah.
If I put $1 million in, and I found someone to sell me Action 1, it's mine.
Yeah.
And I get it. There are only a certain number of people who could buy an Action 1.
Yeah.
But those people are out there. And if those people exist, they're living in a realm where world events do not affect their bottom line.
Right.
So you're always going to be able to sell that book. You're going to get your money back.
Yeah.
But the trend, like we said, has always been up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true for the stock market, like, as well. But
True.
I'm not sure if, like.
But not every stock, though.
Yeah. Some stocks. I mean, where's IBM today? I have no clue.
Where's I can't even think of some of the ones from 2008 that just dissolved,
Yeah.
Lehman Brothers. There is no Lehman Brothers anymore. It's gone.
Yeah. There will always be a new Tesla. A new, could be 10 to 15 years from now. Could be 20. Like, I don't know. But a new actual competitor will show up just because that's what, like, the market is. But, and in the business world, because it's a dog eat dog world, it's like a competition. For the consumer, it's good because you're like, okay, like, this will just help them to make better products. But sometimes it's like competition just kills their competitor, and then their competitor's eviscerated from existence.
Exactly.
But in comics, for us, it's like a DC creates this character, and so Marvel's like, okay, I need to create another character. And then, like in the Silver Age and Golden Age, what they were doing, and they're creating these characters, and they didn't evaporate one another.
Nothing could tank. Nothing could tank Superman and his significance in the comic book, in pop culture, historically, all of it. There's nothing that could affect that.
Yeah,
it's worldwide.
Even if comics, so back to the $1 million question. Even if comics just crashed and everything became worthless, and the stock market crashed and everything became worthless, at the stock market, I have nothing to show for it. With comic books,
nothing.
I have the first appearance of Superman.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that point up, because it's weird to say this, but this is what I believe. If we all saw, were reminded this week that the stock market is predictable until it isn't predictable.
Yeah.
And it's predictable long term, but within that you just don't know, and it goes up and down, and some things just go belly up, and if you happen to be invested in that, you lost it. It's gone. It's nothing. We're not worth anything anymore. If the stock market crashes, Action Comics 1 does not crash.
Yeah.
Right? It is what it is. There may be less people who have the disposable money to buy that book, but it's still what it is. For Action Comics to suddenly be worthless, like you said, society would have to crash.
Yeah.
If Action Comics is worthless, we have much bigger problems than Action Comics, than our comic book collection. That means that civilization has gone through a sea change. Like, there isn't civilization.
Yeah.
The culture has profoundly been dissolved in some way. That, and we're selling. We're scrapping our utensils to sell it and trade it. We're living in the Mad Max world or something like that. So I feel like in that way, these when you talk about the blue chip comics, they are insulated from that level of the crashing. They just are. And that's why you have to pay so much money to get in on one of those.
Yeah.
Because there is a guarantee there.
Yeah.
Nothing is completely guaranteed. Right. But it's about as guaranteed as it gets.
Yeah. And to I guess to kind of talk about 2021, 2022, and then like where the stock market is at now, that is different because you're talking about a bubble that ballooned the hobby. Yeah. Where people were given money, which from the government, the stimulus checks. Yeah. That's where I think the bubble came from. Yep. Is people were giving money that, so some people needed it, and it was there for them to help them through the tough times. But for other people, it wasn't. Like for Dara and I, we both had. Well, I had a stable job. Her career was going into another direction. And so we use that money to invest into this, like where we are today. So like some people used it for that, like we did, or other people.
The savings accounts grew during that time.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah. Or people used it to, they had their jobs. They weren't going to lose their jobs. They had job security. So like, well, I just got $3,000 in the course of a couple months.
And a lot of people didn't have anything. All of us, we were bored. We really didn't. We were kind of for several months at least, but for many people longer, we couldn't really do anything. So you break open your old comic book collection, you start going on eBay, and there it went away. It went.
So the boredom mixed with extra cash in pockets. It's like, well, I got $3,000 to spend. Like, let me go. Yeah. See what's on eBay. Let me go see what's on Heritage or whatever.
I think there's something that people don't really talk about much either. There was a bit of fatalistic YOLOing going on too. It wasn't FOMO. It was YOLO. It was like literally you only live once. Like, I mean, we're in the middle of a lockdown, a pandemic. It's causing me to reconsider. A lot of people to reconsider like what's important to them in life, and like, well, I've been saving for a rainy day, but all my rainy days almost just got taken away from me. Like, I feel like society has come to a halt. We've forgotten what that felt like. Yeah. So people are like, you know what? Forget it. What am I doing? I'm only on this earth once. Let me go ahead and stop saying someday. Let me just go get this thing. Whether that's a good decision or not, that definitely played a part in it. Yeah. And then you put, like you said, $3,000 in somebody's hands. Like, well, what am I going to do? I could stick it under the mattress, or I can go get this book I always wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, that goes back to what I was saying. Like, if, you brought up, like, that's like society crashing. But at the end of it, it's like, if everything comes to a halt and everything crashes, with stock market, you have nothing to show for it. Yeah. If Action 1 becomes worthless, it's like, well, I own Action 1 and I have it here in my hands.
Yeah, it's a property.
Like, yeah. So this is cool either way.
Yeah, it's kind of it's in that way similar to owning land. Like, if you own land, they say that's a really good thing to have if you can afford it. anywhere to
Yeah.
have some land, because at the very least it's land. Like it's a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Well, Action One isn't a beachfront property or anything, but it can be worth as much as beachfront property because it's as desirable to some people. So it would be really fun to take all of my comics, roll them into one cell, and take all that money and get in on the ground floor of one of these blue chips. I've dreamed about it.
Yeah.
But then I think I've just consolidated away half or 90% of the fun for me.
Yeah.
It's a smart move, but it's not necessarily the fun move because we have a couple other tiers to talk about besides the blue chip one. So, which is, I think, the world where most of us live.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't contemplating whether or not we should buy Captain America Comics issue 1 next week. But it is really fun to look at him at conventions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
there's definitely, to finish my thought.
Yeah.
So the market went from something, it ballooned into something unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then due to, try not to get political here, a bad economy, and that is actually affecting like day-to-day lives, then that balloon popped, prices for books came down a lot more because now prices for gas, prices for groceries, that goes up, and so now people don't have as much money to put. But again, it's all going to level out at some point. So it's like it comes down hard, it's going to go back up.
Yeah, if you have to choose between groceries and your comic books,
right?
It's no choice at all. It's obvious. So when it is connected to the economy in that way for sure. If things aren't going well for you and you don't have the cash flow, don't buy comics.
But then again, like it's proof that these blue chip comics hold, like even when that doesn't, or when the economy is crashing, smaller books might take a hit, but those blue chip books, they hold.
In really probably any grade at all. Like when we talk about those, obviously the higher the grade, the more. But in those books, I don't think it matters. If I would take a blue chip, one of those blue chips, like Golden Age blue chips, in any condition, including coverless, and feel the same way about it.
Yeah. And there's other like blue chips, like they're not like your first appearances of the characters that we named earlier, but like just this book right here, you got FF6 Second Doom, you got First Electra, like those books had huge heights during the balloon, but even today where things are more settled and a lot more reliable, like where prices are at, like you still get into these books like Electra, like a 9.2 or higher is like 400 or something like that up there. You're still gonna
even less.
You're still like, you're going into that book, let's say 350 at a 9.2. I don't know what it actually is at. You go in 350 at a 9.2. A year from now, you're probably still gonna be in that area. It might come down a little, it might go up a little. So there is definitely like a sub tier to the Grails.
Absolutely, key books in Golden Age keys are Grails.
Yeah.
Silver Age keys can be Grails, but then there are other Silver Age keys that are within reach for the common collector.
Right.
And then, but you could say the same thing for bronze. You could say the same thing for and all that. So
I just think those are a little less safe against an economic crash.
and more condition sensitive. Like you need, if it needs, it's supply and demand. You have to have something to separate it from the pack. With Golden Age, it's separated because it's Golden Age and there aren't as many.
Yeah.
The more current and modern, the more you need to have it in a good condition.
Yeah.
Or signed or something.
Yeah. To make it unique. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Newsstand or whatever.
So then right below, well, I guess, to our second tier is speculating.
Yeah.
And that's betting on the potential of a book.
As an investment, speculating, good or bad.
Right, exactly. So this is money that you have to play with.
Yeah.
So people who bought Bitcoin, people who were buying GameStop.
Man, that was crazy.
Yeah, people who were buying, like Amazon back in the day, just placing your bets in the success of a company. And so Same thing in the comics. It's placing your bets in. You read a series like with Batman 6, that book, First Court of Owls. I look at that book and I think that storyline was fantastic. This villain makes so much sense to Batman. The villain also is tied to the history of Batman, like as far back as his parents and his, like, literally his lineage. So it's like it even is like touching on like Golden Age stuff and like just the whole history of Batman. So it's something that is like it's not like a first appearance of this random character that they're introducing, which is a coin flip on like whether or not it's like they're connecting this villain to the whole history of Batman and Bruce Wayne. And so for that reason, I think that's a good speculation where you get in pretty cheap in the future. I think it could pop up once more people kind of learn about it and kind of see, or it's put on a movie or whatever, which kind of at that point makes it like a more generalized knowledge. But yeah, so books that, like that example you read, or covers like we talked about earlier that you just think are cool, that you think have a future, anything that you really think, I would say kind of breaks that, I don't know what wall it would be, but breaks the wall between comic hobby and breaks it into pop culture.
Yes.
Because that's what you're waiting for a book to blow up, is you're waiting for that book to finally break through into pop culture and for it to be widely known.
That's why movie announcements and movies, act as an accelerant to this, because there's no faster way in my experience for things to be thrust into pop culture than through a motion picture.
Right.
Especially a successful motion picture or motion picture franchise.
Yeah.
So that's why we love these announcements,
Yeah.
and it fuels the hobby and it's really fun. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, when I was just starting to collect, speculating was for me speculating on 50 and 60 cent cover prices. I would go and I was buying all the Frank Miller Daredevils because I was reading them and they were so good, right? But I also, I think I bought like 5 copies of Flash 300, which was a terrible investment,
Yeah.
And I think the book was a double size. It cost $1 each, and $5 was a big investment for me back then. You know, and didn't work out. But then I bought, I think, 4 or 5 copies of Daredevil 181 because I just thought it was going to be significant. It was a double size issue. It was all that. But my friend bought 10 copies of it. So he got 10 newsstand copies somewhere that he's never even read. That he read one and put them all away. So there's that kind of speculating. You could speculate on. We could speculate on a Silver Age book right now. It doesn't have to be a new book. Like it can be just one that hasn't broken through that wall. Like
we did
said.
Inferior 5.
Yeah, we absolutely did. So is that a smart play versus speculating on the stock market?
Right.
I don't see a difference. I honestly don't. Like I suppose speculating on a stock, it's certainly a more liquid asset. You can sell it faster than you can a spec comic book, because you're not going to be able to sell a spec comic book until it hits.
Right.
You can spec on a stock and it never really hits, and you can just say, I've held it for a year. The stock, it's worth the same amount. I'm going to just get my money back and sell it. You can.
Yeah.
You spec on a comic book, especially a new comic book, and it doesn't hit. You might have a hard time selling it, getting your money out of it at all.
Yeah.
For sure. However, that's 50-50, but if you spec on a comic book and it hits, I mean, it really hits.
Yeah.
And your speculation, the kind that you described, is intelligent speculation. You're an intelligent speculator. You speculate, I think, the way a lot of our viewers and listeners speculate, which is not after the fact FOMO speculation.
Yeah.
That's chasing when it's already the cat's out of the bag. But like you said, because you understand something, what it is that makes us unique. It's you said number one, a few episodes ago, is read the comics.
Yeah.
And that's what you mentioned, talking about the Court of Owls. You've read it, you understand. And so I would almost argue with you, Joshua, it's not even speculating. It's just time traveling in a way. Like you're understanding this is going to eventually get picked up and be made into a movie, or this character is going to hit because it's just well written.
Yeah.
But then there's speculation, like you said, where you just look at something and go, that cover, Miles Morales 8, is special.
Yeah.
and people buy special covers, and I'm gonna go out and buy. You know what? I joked about it. I said I'm gonna go out and buy as many copies of X-Men 130 as I can get my hands on. That's a pure spec. It's not. No one isn't surprised to hear that book is collectible. It was people were paying $1,200 for it last month.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's a spec now because I'm not speculating on that it's going to break through to pop culture. Well, I kind of am, but I'm also speculating that the pendulum's going to swing.
Yeah.
It swung down to the downside. It's going to swing back the other way.
Yeah.
And that's a different kind of reasoning for speculating. I'm sure you guys have lots of reasons to speculate. I love talking to collectors about what they're buying and why, and we all kind of keep it close to the vest a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we put our sleepers behind a paywall on Patreon.
Yeah, we're doing this whole thing just to tease the Patreon. No, but we're dropping sleepers all the time on this thing. Like,
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't heard us mention Miles Morales 12 times in this podcast,
Right.
Go pick that up. You got it. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So speculation is always playing with money that you're willing to lose. But again, if it's a comic book that you like, there's like, are you really losing at that point?
Right.
So I stopped speculating just on stuff that was hot, mostly because that's when I did a little bit of logic math, and I was like, well, if a seller's saying that I need to buy the book before it gets hot or before it goes up, and they're trying to liquidate it, like that means that they see a small future, or kind of like what I said with my stocks earlier is like the profits are here now. It could go up soon, but I'd rather just take my profits and go. And so, yeah, I totally lost my train of thought and what I was connecting that to.
But all right. Some speculation is low risk too, doesn't it? Like it can be low risk, high reward, high risk, high reward. Like, but like this
remember.
book. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. So what I was saying was I'd stopped that type of speculation because I realized it wasn't speculation. It was just, I don't even know what it was. Like it was just like
somebody was fishing and you were the fish.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized like, no, like speculating is getting in a book before it makes a top 10 list, before it makes somebody's hot list, before you open up an Instagram claim sale and the seller's got 10 of them selling for like a bunch. Like, he speculated on that book. That seller speculated on that book.
He's winning. It's too late. For
exactly.
You.
And there's nothing wrong with buying
you might still
those
want
books.
that book.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah, but he spec'd on that book. That's why he's got 10
He's
copies.
made his margin, and you're going to have a harder time trying to make any margin. But like this right here, maybe it's a smart spec to go and just look up books from the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that really have that ended, their runs ended during that time, and try to find high grade copies of those last 4 or 5 issues. That's a pure spec, but you shouldn't have to pay much for that, right? But you have to store it, hold it. You know, the last 2 major buy at the comic book shop or from 7-Eleven specs that I did, one was a huge win and one was a huge flop. I heavy spec'd on all the McFarlane Spider-Mans. Yeah. I bought as many as the comic shop had. Now they had already come and gone. I didn't buy them cover price. They were like a few months old, you know, kind of thing. And so I'm going through the short boxes in the comic shop, and I paid $1 a book for them or something like that. And I bought 5 copies of issue 298, 299, 300, 301, all the way on up. And I sold them, traded them over the years, whatever. That was a huge win. Yeah. Would have been a much bigger one if I waited longer, but you could always say that. Yeah. Now, a spec that was a complete flop didn't cost me much. It was the same idea. It was when Walt Simonson had just finished the run of Thor that he had, the Beta Ray Bill, the whole thing. And he was doing a run of Avengers. And he was, and I can't remember even the numbers. It was right. It was close to in the 300 somewhere. And I bought like 5 copies of every single one of those books. And They are not worth the paper they were printed on, my man. You know how I got away from those books is I put them in a long box at a garage sale and sold the whole long box for $50.
Yep, there you go.
And it just like had a bunch of stuff, and so that was just a complete loss. So you win some, you lose some with that. But that was
part of the fun.
It's part of the fun. Exactly. Yeah. It's totally part. There's nothing wrong with it. Just understand you're probably going to lose more than you win.
Yeah.
But if you win with like a McFarlane Spider-Man, you don't need to win. The ratio is probably like 20-1 if you win, and you probably come out at least even.
Yeah.
Then notwithstanding, like, where do you store the stuff?
Yeah.
I carried those Simonson Avengers books all over the country, dude. I moved so many times, and I can't even tell you how much weight there was in useless Avengers.
Yeah.
If that ever gets picked up and it becomes valuable, I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah. So something that you mentioned before about this, and then the last tier we'll talk about is, and kind of that we were alluding to was that. So like a blue chip comic will not revert back to a speculation comic, and it will, barring a societal crash, it will not just become a collector book. Like, it's like, well, I have this, it's worthless, but I love it. Yeah. So it's kind of locked in.
Yep.
But you were saying that speculation book at any point in time could bump up into that tier, and also at any time could drop down into like what you were just talking about with those Avengers books.
A bad beat story.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, that's the fun of it. Yeah, these you're right. The grails, they're locked in. They're not. They're. That's why they're grails. That's why they. But these speculation books, the hope is they will reach at least key status, and if they're strong enough keys, they can become grails for their time period.
Yeah.
I mean, Hulk 340 is a grail.
Yeah.
It is a modern grail.
Right.
I was alive to see it on the newsstand, but it's a modern grail now. There's no question about it. Everybody loves that book.
Yeah, I had a 9.8 and it sold for over $1,000
instantly. Too.
Over $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you didn't have to wait either.
Yeah.
It was just and you see it listed, it's gone.
Yeah.
So yes, and so these books you hope they migrate up. That's the goal. And every season, a handful do.
Yeah.
And that's what's so much fun about it.
Yeah.
It's fun. And we all understand, like gravity, a lot of them fall to the earth but it doesn't mean they're without value. They just don't have any monetary value.
Yeah.
But they might have some other value, which we're going to talk about that in a second, right? With the next tier when we're done with this one. But yeah, these are none of these tiers are locked in except for the grails. Like those are. But the other ones, they can drop, they can go up. But once they hit key status, like you can't go below. Once you're a key, you're a key.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Keys are keys.
Right. So our last tier is what did I
is that one where you're betting on what you love? Yeah, what you like. Yeah.
Collector books. Yeah, betting on what you love. So these are books that you just
they're not necessarily intelligent purchases. They're what I call lizard brain purchases. It's an advertising term. The lizard brain is advertisers try to appeal to the lizard brain. It just what all that means is it's the part of us. It's the emotional buyer part of us where we don't really have a rational reason for it. We just want it. We know it doesn't make sense to buy the $60,000 sports car. It doesn't make any sense. We can't afford it. It's not practical for us and our families, but we still go out and we buy it.
Yeah.
Because we just want it.
Yeah.
And that's 100% true in a comic book.
Yeah. So I have a book on the wall right now. I don't know how much it can be seen, but this book right here looks like you can see half of it. I can't pull it down, but this is Fantastic Four issue number 19. This is the first appearance of Rama Tut. And this is a retcon Kang variant. But can you see it? No, you can't. Over here. Nope.
You should take it off the wall. Go ahead.
It's just gonna.
Just don't let it fall.
All right. That was easier than I thought.
Okay, I was scared for a second there.
Okay, so this is FF19. First appearance of Rama Tut, and I overpaid for this book. Not because of Kang Hype. I bought this before Kang Hype, but because of the stamp that's on this book. So if you look here, right here in the middle is a stamp from Beers Books in Sacramento. And it's sentimental to me because after my wife and I got engaged, we took a trip to Sacramento with some friends. Well, it was just like Sacramento, SF, kind of the whole thing. But we went to Sacramento and we happened upon this bookstore. And I have a picture of Dara looking like walking down one of the aisles. And on the back of their store, they have a huge neon sign that says Beers Books. And so it was just kind of like a candid, like I just took the picture of her as she's walking, and then above her is like the big neon sign, Beers Books. So I saw this on eBay. I probably paid like $150 to $200 more than what it's worth. But I sent in an offer. They rejected it and sent me a counter because I wanted to try to get it for market value. So I sent in like a market offer. They rejected, and I couldn't say no simply because of the stamp.
Yeah.
And I'll probably never sell this.
No.
And so yeah, this is kind of like it is a key in ways. I mean, it's an early FF.
It's an FF I really want to get my hands on.
Yeah, but it's I definitely overpaid. I will not get my money back. It's got water damage. Like it's a 4.0 off-white to white CGC with a custom label for you audio listeners. But it's got that Beers Book stamp. And that will always be a part of my wife and I's
your history together. That's such a cool story. I love that you have that book. And I know exactly what you mean about certain books. You're like, I'm never going to sell this book. I remember when you and Dara just started dating, and she was telling me about you. And one of the things she told me about you, because you I'm sure she wanted me to like you,
sure.
And I do like you, I love you, but she this is the very beginning, and one thing she told me about you, she said, oh, he loves poetry, he writes poetry, and I don't know if she showed me a book or she told me about a book, but it was a book of poetry that either you bought at a bookstore or that you guys were reading together or something like that, and I was impressed by that. I thought, oh, that's really cool. Like that automatically I that told me something about you that I personally liked. Not that it really mattered because Dara already loved you, you know. But it's cool when you can tie your comics to your personal, something personal. Like the Court of Owls, the Batman that you gave me, is automatically means more to me than any other, something than if I had bought it, on a claim sale, obviously for obvious reasons, right? And I have books like that too, where you look at it and there's a story, like a tattoo. You every tattoo has a story, right?
Yeah.
You remember where you got it, you remember why you got it, and people ask you, and I love hearing you tell the story because you love to tell the story. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys all have comics like that from your past that you they have more value to you than they're ever going to have to anybody else. Yeah. And I don't think we do discount that though. I mean, that's a big part of the joy of the hobby. Yeah. I mean, even some of the bad beats of comics I bought speculated that dropped into they failed the speculation books. They fell into this other bucket of, well, they're sentimental to me in some reason. Yeah. And that's just as good. Like I'm just as attached.
Yeah. I definitely see this play out more in New Comic Book Day. It's just buying stuff off the rack that I like, and not. I mean, generally, like if you buy a book off the comic rack at your LCS, the second you walk out the door, it's worthless, worth half of what it's worth.
It's dropped 80%. You paid $5 for it, it's worth $1.
It's like buying a brand new car and driving it off the lot. Yeah,
but you at least get to read it.
Yeah, so that's kind of like. Especially today with all the variant covers that are out there. Yeah. The sneeze coming. Yep. This always happens to me on the podcast.
And then it didn't happen. It'll come in a second. No?
It's there, but it's like...
It's lurking.
It's stuck right here. Anyways.
But variant covers, definitely.
All the art germs, the Momokos, the...
Yeah. Or how
David
about like
Max.
Yeah, the David Max, or picking up a comic that has a story too because you got it at a convention. Or
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons it was so much fun for me at San Diego Comic Con to run around getting artists to sign the books because I knew what I was doing. And I'm not knocking this because this is a spec move would be to get someone to sign it to sell it. Like I might send in Frank Miller Daredevil or Frank Miller Batman to CGC for him to sign it to make it be worth more.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'm going to pay $80 for him to sign it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not knocking that at all. But when I was getting, David Mack to sign all those Something is Killing the Children's and, and the 30 signatures and all that, I was creating books that now have sentimental value to me, that have a story that it would be very difficult for me to sell.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. We want to, you don't want to love your stuff. Like we understand that, stuff is just stuff. People are worth more than stuff.
Right.
But sometimes your stuff, there are people connected to that too. But I mean, there's nothing wrong if you're in the hobby to have books that you really treasure.
Yeah.
It's okay, and not because they're worth a lot of money, but because they mean something to you. Outside of the money part. And I think that's the majority of all of our books is probably that,
Yeah. And this is also like a phrase we've talked about it in one of the earlier episodes, like one of the first couple episodes, but the saying collect what you love, like I get it and obviously I abide by it, but it's not the only way to do this. Obviously just don't be stupid. That's kind of like, I feel like that's the overall thing. It's just don't be dumb. Don't overpay for books that you shouldn't be. But in the case of FF19 and actually in the case of Daredevil 168, I overpaid for that book and I knew it and I was okay with it because I bought that in New York and I'm not from the East Coast. So from somebody from the East Coast who's like buying a book in New York, you're like, dude, it's just New York. Like, who cares? That was my first time I ever visited New York. My first time there. I was just on the Daredevil craze at the time.
Yep.
I loved it. That book is not going anywhere. I might get another copy, higher grade.
Yep.
Even if I do, I'm not selling that book because that book will always be a representation of my love for Daredevil and my first time being in his city and leaving that city with a key. I overpaid. I paid at the time twice as much for that book for what it's worth. But for me, it was like
no regrets.
This is a story. This is like
you're like in the shadow of Hell's Kitchen. You have to buy that book.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like you could look up and see members of the Hand leaping from building to building. In your imagination. That's fantastic. No, but definitely.
Yeah, but buying what you love is definitely important to being a collector. But I think it's also helpful to remember that we do exist in a hobby that there's a lot of money floating around, and so there are good investment books that you might not love, but when you're just looking at the different angles of the hobby, it's no different than investing into some stocks.
You're right. You're right.
I mean, I bought a book like the Batman 2, the first Ra's al Ghul 232.
Yeah.
I love the cover. Don't get me wrong. I've always loved the green.
Yeah.
Kind of Ra's al Ghul, looking like he's hiding behind this, or not hiding, but just kind of covered in this green magical smoke. That's at least how I've kind of always interpreted it.
Yeah.
But I got that book for under FMV, and I will not hesitate to pass it on and to make my profits on it.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
I didn't buy that book because I was in love with it.
It's actually easier if it's that way with an investment book because I got to say, if a book falls into the nostalgia bucket, I love this book, I have a personal, it's hard to sell the things you're attached to.
Yeah.
And so, as much as I love having those books, it's hard if you have too many of those books because, I fall more into that category. I look at all these books that I remember buying them off the rack. I remember what it felt like to put it in a bag, to get back on my bike and go home, ride my bike home, and then go up the stairs to my room and plop down on the carpet and open this book up and read it because I was so excited.
Yeah.
My friend and I we both be reading the same comic, and we would be reacting when we would turn the page. I don't think I could sell that book.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, it would be really, I'd almost feel like I'm betraying my memories or my past.
Yeah.
I know that's silly.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You know?
Right.
So, but the good news is when I was a kid doing that, I was buying multiple copies.
Yeah.
So I can sell it and I can have the best of both worlds, which is great.
So those are the 3 tiers.
Yeah.
Big investment books that exists
Yeah.
on its own plane and honestly exists with its own customer base.
Yeah, true.
And then spec books, I think we had a whole episode. I'll link that one down where we talked for a long time about how to speculate well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if speculation is buying a book when it's not hot. If it's already hot, you've missed the speculation train.
Yep.
So, and to spec on a book, you have to read or have a good eye for art and what you think is just going to pop off in the future.
Know the history, you know.
Yeah. And then just collector books. I mean, I have, what was that? 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or 15 short boxes, 2 long boxes of raw books, and 2, 4, 6, 8 boxes of CGC slabs. Like, if you think that book is, or that box is just 1 full of only investment books, you're wrong. If you think it's 2 full of only speculation books, you're wrong. Or 3, if you think it's just full of books that I love, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's all of it.
It's all of it. And honestly, sometimes there's a book that I like, exactly like you said. Like, even, okay, so to go back to the speculation book can get booted up into the Grail.
Yeah.
Speculation book can get dropped into the collectors. The like books that you love, those can get bumped up to spec.
Yeah.
But it can also be knocked down into a book where you're like, I don't like this book as much anymore.
That's
and
true.
it can just be totally kicked out of like, well.
And if it falls into that category, then it's really easy to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just, and that does happen.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you look back and go, what was I thinking again? You know, why did I get, and it does happen. And that's, maybe you're speculating that it will be nostalgic, but then it doesn't turn out to be nostalgic.
Yeah.
Different kind of spec. Yeah. I'd love to know from our viewers if you have. I'd love to hear your sentimental stories. Like if you want to like. Can you, under YouTube comments, you can't upload an image, can you? I don't think you can. No. But if you want to share your sentimental book story, that's cool. Maybe we'll, share our favorite one on the pod down the road. Because that's, to me, they're all, winning in any one of these is was what makes a hobby great.
Yeah.
I love those types of stories myself. But anyway.
Yeah. So it's kind of a little talk on the market and economy, and
I hope you didn't have too much. You didn't lose too much on Monday, and by now, as you're watching this, the market has at least stabilized. We know it doesn't recover overnight, but just remember, in every market there's opportunities.
Yeah,
so hang in there.
We actually have one more thing to do.
We do
that I totally forgot about is we have a giveaway to set right.
Yes, we do.
So I think actually what we'll do is we will go into Patreon and then we will just film because we have to do that at my PC, I think.
Oh, right. We have to randomize.
To randomize.
Yes.
So we'll do that later. So yeah. If you're watching this, if you made it this far, you've already seen the winner because I'll put that portion in the beginning. Yeah. So congratulations to whoever you are. Yes,
congratulations. Thank you for participating and enjoy the book. Yeah. It's a great book.
But for now, we're going to head over to Patreon. And you know what? Let's just, we've yet to, I do like a teaser at the end of the video. Like I pull a clip, but so we're doing a sleeper and a head scratcher book.
Yeah.
Let's show them the book, but we're not going to tell them what it is.
Oh, okay. That'd be fun.
So, let's just show it at the same time.
Okay. Well, I didn't bring, I don't have a copy.
Oh, you don't have a copy.
But I have it on my phone.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
All right. So, sleeper and head scratcher. I have here Silver Surfer 4, and you have there Daredevil 171. 171. So, this is our sleeper and head scratcher for the week. If you want to see what is what and why we think it's in the category that it's in, come join us on Patreon. Link will be in the description. So don't forget to say happy birthday to Mr. Longbox in the comments. And we'll see you guys either at Patreon or next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye. I think I have to buy this book. I think I'm going to buy it live on camera. Well, I just bought it.
Nice.